fuck this movie. Okay, I wasn't even looking forward to this movie, okay? I knew this movie right out from the gate was gonna suck. Okay? I just had that gut feeling this is just gonna be that bad movie, that one really bad comic book movie, okay? With all the announcements, all these rumors that were going on about this movie, I expected it to suck. So going into this, it's not like I was gonna walk out. I was thinking at least I didn't think I was gonna walk out being as pissed off as I was and being pissed off as I am. But no, I'm fucking pissed off about this movie. And again, I wasn't even looking forward to it. It's not like I was really, really, really looking forward to this movie and it was just disappointed in every end. I had nothing to look forward to with this movie. I mean, I wanted to see it, I wanted it to be good, but I knew it wasn't going to be good. But I didn't know it was going to be this bad. It's just Spider-Man 3 over again. Okay, isn't that why we're here? Spider-Man 3 caused the reboot. Okay, well, not really, but a lot of people like to think that Spider-Man 3 was so bad that, it caused the reboot. Like, oh, we cannot at all go forward from that. We just need to start over again. That's not at all the case. Okay? No one wanted to come back to do another Spider-Man movie, so they were just like, okay, let's do a reboot, okay? But you know what? Let's go with your reason why we're in this rebooted franchise, okay? Let's give you the benefit of the doubt and say you're correct. Why would you then do what the fucking movie, the bad movie in your franchise did? The movie that caused a reboot. Why would you re-fucking-peat that bullshit again? It's the same problem here. Too many characters, too many plot lines, too many villains. They learned nothing. Sony doesn't know how to make a fucking Spider-Man movie, okay? So that's why when Marvel gets their film rights back, they'll fucking do a kick-ass Spider-Man movie. Why are they so stubborn not to give Spider-Man back? And you know what? Why I honestly just was not looking forward to this movie? Well, not only to this movie, but the last Spider-Man movie and future Spider-Man movies to come, as long as they're in the hands of Sony. I don't look forward to Spider-Man movies anymore because they're not made because they want to be made. They're made because they have to be made. If Sony wants to keep the film rights, they have to make a Spider-Man movie every couple of years or else they'll revert back to Marvel. That's the same reason why I don't look forward to too many of the X-Men movies. Because it's the same thing there. Fox has to make a new X-Men movie every couple or so years to keep the film rights to X-Men or else they'll revert back to Marvel. And you know what? This really hurts me. This film really fucking hurts me because, I may praise Batman to high heaven. I may, talk about him all the time. But honestly, I got a softer spot in my heart for Spider-Man. Because, you want to know why? He was the first comic book character I was ever introduced to. The first comic book I ever held was a Spider-Man comic book. That was the first comic I ever held. In fact, I actually have it right here. This was the first ever Spider-Man comic I ever held. A trade of the first 7 or so issues of Ultimate Spider-Man. That's why I like Ultimate Spider-Man so much, okay? Spider-Man in my eyes is, he was my childhood. He was what I grew up with. Before I loved Batman as much as I did, I loved Spider-Man. There was a point in my life I loved Spider-Man just as much as I loved Batman. So even though I wasn't looking forward to this movie, I still had a little glimmer of hope it could end up being really, really good. Okay? So before, you know what? I don't even want to fucking waste time talking about a bunch of other bullshit. But you know what? I always do it. So what were my thoughts on Amazing Spider-Man, the first one? It was fine. I mean, for a movie that was rushed into production just to keep the film rights, Sony, just so that Sony could keep the film rights to the Spider-Man franchise, it was fine. I mean, it could have been really worse. It's the Man of Steel Spider-Man movies where, hey, we don't want at all to make a creative or fun movie or we have a good story to tell. We just need to keep the fucking film right. So rush a movie into production and call it a movie when it's really not. Fucking product, commercial. That's what Man of Steel was, really. I love Man of Steel, but that's all it was. It was just, hey, how can we rush a Superman movie into production really quick so we can keep the film rights before they expire? Well, you make that movie. But you know what? I think looking back at Amazing Spider-Man, I much liked it a lot better than I do now. I gave it like an 8 out of 10 or an 8.5, something like around that mark when I first reviewed it and then when I re-reviewed it. And then I watched it again and I give it more of like a 7 or a 6.5. I think like a 6.5 or a 7 is fine. But, you know, it has a lot of problems with it. But I still enjoyed it for what it was. For a reboot to the Spider-Man franchise, I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was absolutely, you know, I may have said it was amazing, but it's not that amazing, okay? Just because it has amazing a title doesn't mean it's amazing, okay? This fucking movie should prove that. It was fine. It was adequate. It was whatever. But Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the worst movie I've seen so far this year. Okay? I would go as far as to debate this is worse than the fucking RoboCop remake. I fucking went there. This is worse than that shitty, unnecessary, boring as hell RoboCop remake that didn't need to fucking happen, okay? Because at least that movie had a fucking plot. At least it had scenes that went somewhere. At least it had fucking characters. Okay? Characters. But still, that was a better fucking movie than this. It's still fucking bad. Don't get me wrong. But this movie is much worse than that. Okay? I'd much rather watch that fucking shitty RoboCop remake any day of the week over this piece of shit. This movie fucking pissed me off. And again, I wouldn't have anything to look forward to in this movie. You know how fucking pissed off this movie made me? Give you an idea of how much this movie infuriated me? You know how fucking pissed off, confused Matthew gets when he has to review a shitty, horrible comic book movie? That's this movie. That's how fucking pissed off this movie made me. It infuriated me. It literally just fucking pissed me the fuck off. Every single solitary thing in the movie is fucking pointless. The movie's biggest issue is that it has no plot. It has no story. It's literally a series of ongoing scenes that ramble on and go nowhere. And eventually, towards the end, you realize this isn't a fucking movie. This is an advertisement for future Spider-Man movies, or the Sinister Six movie, or the Venom movie. You know what? I can give two shits less about the fucking future Spider-Man movies if they're gonna turn out like this. And I started to think to myself, how could this movie be this bad? The Amazing Spider-Man wasn't great, but it was still a fucking film. Wasn't a horrible one, it was still a fucking film. I could still call it that. It was an adequate movie. It looked like there were competent people working on this franchise. Mark Webb was a competent director. He had a lot of good, competent actors. Fucking Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, a bunch of good people working on this movie. Some good writers, according to The Amazing Spider-Man. And then I looked it up. And guess what? They changed writers. I don't remember by name who the writers were in the first movies, but the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, but they were not the writers of this fucking movie, okay? The writers of this movie, Amazing Spider-Man 2, were Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orci. Just to give you guys an idea of who these fucking assholes are, let's just read off Alex Kurtzman's resume. Let's see what he's written in the past. He's written The Island, Mission Impossible 3, Transformers, Eagle Eye, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, The Proposals, Cowboys and Aliens, People Like Us, and Star Trek Into Darkness. Let's see what Roberto Orci's resume is. Let's see what he's written in the past. The Island, Mission Impossible 3, Transformers, Eagle Eye, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, Cowboys and Aliens, People Like Us, and Star Trek Into Darkness. Fuck you! No! No! You do not give a fucking film to write to these two fucking assholes. I just read off to you, I just explained to you, gave you proof as to why these fuckers cannot write. You cannot write Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orci, and I don't care if I'm fucking up your names or whatever. You deserve that. That's the least you deserve. These movies fucking suck. Okay? Each and every, I'm looking at the resume right now. They've been co-writers on some other good movies, like Watchmen, for example. That was fine. The first Star Trek film was good. They did that, which just is baffling to me why they fucked up Star Trek 2 so much in the darkness. Which, yeah, I know, I did a first impressions video on that, and I said it was good. Well, I watched it again. It fucking sucks, okay? And the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the same problem that Star Trek Into Darkness had, where it wasn't a fucking movie. It was just a greatest hit list of all other previous incarnations of either Spider-Man or Star Trek. Star Trek Into Darkness' biggest fucking flaw was that it wasn't a film. It had no story. It had no plot. All it was just, what scenes can we rip off from Wrath of Khan? That's all it was. They didn't have a story, so to compensate for that, they had a bunch of big fanboy moments that would make fanboys think that their movie was good, when in actuality, it fucking wasn't. Same thing with Amazing Spider-Man 2. All it is they don't have a story, so let's compensate for that by having a shit ton of biggest hits moments from previous Spider-Man comics or war to make the fanboys think we have a good movie, when in reality, we fucking don't. We have a movie that fucking sucks. And just because you have a bunch of big moments from the comic books in your movie doesn't give you at all any credit whatsoever. Because when you think about it, what's the average Joe moviegoer going to be thinking throughout this entire movie? Like, what's he going to be thinking? He hasn't read a comic book. He's just here to see the sequel to the Amazing Spider-Man, not here to see the trailer for the Amazing Spider-Man 3, 4, 5, and 6, also including Sinister Six and Venom. He's here to see Amazing Spider-Man 2, and the sequel to the Amazing Spider-Man. What's he going to be thinking? He's going to be thinking, why was that there? What was the meaning of that scene? I don't know. I didn't read any comic books. I'm here to see a fucking sequel, a fucking movie, not a trailer. That's the film's fucking problem. It's just a fucking advertisement for a fucking another Spider-Man movie or a Sinister Six movie. Well, you know what? I'm looking at their resume right now again, and Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman are tapped to do Amazing Spider-Man 3 and that Venom spin-off movie. Okay, that Venom spin-off movie had no potential at all, but Amazing Spider-Man 3 did. So, if you had any hope that this future rebooted, redone Spider-Man franchise at all had any hope of being great, there's your fucking hopes just stomped away. The movie is just a fucking advertisement and setup for a future movie or future franchise. Oh, you motherfuckers! It's Iron Man 2 all over again! That's all it is, just fucking Iron Man 2 all over again. Remember when I reviewed Iron Man 2? It was just a big giant advertisement for fucking Avengers. So that's all this is. It's just, hey, why is that character in there? Fucking Sinister Six, why not? Hey, why is Felicia Hardy, Black Cat, in this movie? Why the fuck not? Future Spider-Man movies, man, yeah, baby, yeah. Why is fucking Rhino in the movie? Rhino's not in the movie, okay? He got cut out along with all the other bullshit that they promised in the trailers. That's another thing about this movie. Amazing Spider-Man had the same problem too, where they showed off a shit ton of stuff in the trailers that never made it into the movie. Didn't even make it into the deleted scenes. No explanation whatsoever to why some of this shit was cut out. Okay? Not at all. It's just Iron Man 2 all over again. Let's just take a shit ton of stuff that people know about Spider-Man, put in the movie, give them a little bit of taste of what's going to happen in future Spider-Man movies, and then we'll call it a movie. That's not a fucking movie. That's a commercial for another movie. And if you guys don't know, I'm not sure if you knew this or not, I don't pay to see a fucking commercial. I pay to see a movie. I didn't make this fucking YouTube channel to review commercials. I made it to review movies for you guys. To tell you guys whether or not to go see a movie. Tell you guys if a movie is bad or not. I didn't make this fucking channel to tell you guys, hey, this commercial for another movie, which that other movie in and of itself is probably going to be another commercial for another movie, it's good. No, I didn't do that. I didn't. This is just fucking Iron Man 2 all over again. If you guys know how much I hate Iron Man 2, this should give you an idea how much I hate this movie. Actually, you know what? Kind of thinking about it, I fucking probably liked Iron Man 2 better. I actually probably am gonna give Iron Man 2 a higher rating than this fucking piece of shit. This movie has a 4 out of 10. I'll explain why later, but I gotta get into more bullshit in this movie. The movie has no story. It has no plot. The plot or the story of the movie is literally the villain that Spider-Man is fighting at that very moment. That's it. It's just, what's the plot of the movie? Nothing besides Spider-Man fights Electro in this scene, the Green Goblin in this scene, and then the Rhino for a quarter of a second. He was not the fucking movie, okay? A smart decision would have been to cut the whole Rhino suit out at the end of the movie and just have Alexei Sestovich robbing the Oscorp whatever truck at the beginning of the movie. That would have been a smart choice. That would have been fine. You didn't need to have the Rhino suit pop out of nowhere. I think the only reason why they had that part in the movie was so that the opening sequence of the next Spider-Man movie would leave off where the ending of this movie left off, okay? And let's get into the Green Goblin, okay? Let's get into the Green Goblin here. Now, I hated the fact that it was Harry Osborn who became the Green Goblin first, okay? Because the reason why it worked in the comics, him being the second Green Goblin, was that they built him up as a fucking character. To the point where when he fell from grace and he descended into the madness of the Green Goblin, you felt genuinely sorry for him. You felt sorry that he was taking up his father's sick legacy, his father's curse. You felt sorry for him then. It was kind of like Harvey Dent in Batman. Like, they built him up to be this really great guy, to see him fall from grace, becoming Two-Face, no rhyme intended. You know, you felt sorry for him. So having him just show up and, hey, I'm the fucking first Green Goblin, it's not at all one bit sad, or, you know, not one bit sad, or you feel sorry for him. And it definitely adds to that you don't feel sorry for him at all when he becomes a Green Goblin, because he's a fucking dickhead throughout the whole movie. And they try to shoehorn in him and Peter being best old childhood buddies, best old friends since childhood. I didn't fucking buy it once, because every other scene in this movie is them arguing and trying to kill each other. There's one scene in the movie where where all they're doing is reminiscing about old times, saying, oh, hey, remember that when we were kids? Oh, yeah, I sure do. Remember this when we were kids? Oh, yeah, I sure do. Remember that when we were kids? Just trying to shoehorn in us feeling bad about him becoming the Goblin. But every other scene is him bitching and whining, why do I have to be the CEO of my dad's company? My dad was a dickhead. Why do I have to die? Why can't I get Spider-Man's blood? Why am I a Green Goblin? Why couldn't Willem Dafoe come back and do a lot more better in this movie and something a little more memorable? Now, Dane DeHaan's credit, he does good with what he's given. In fact, every single actor in this movie, with what they're given, they do a fucking great job, okay? Like, if I were looking at the script, I'd probably fall under pressure because I can't work with this shit. I mean, if you were given this script, would you be able to work with it? Probably not. But then again, that's why you and me are actors. That's why these guys are. That's one of the only positive things you'll be hearing me say about this movie. They just fucked up everything else. The acting was fine. The acting was great in the movie. Everyone did their fair share. They did a good job. They were fine. But Green Goblin sucked. They fucked that up royally. Why it was Harry Osborn. I mean, I know they're building up to, Norman Osborn probably becoming him later, but he's dead in the movie. He dies. I know he's probably faked his death or whatever. I've been hearing rumors about a deleted after credit scene where he goes Walt Disney and freezes his fucking head. And Marvel's owned by Disney, so maybe that's a homage to them. I don't know. But, I know they're probably building up to Norman Osborn being the Green Goblin, but it worked in the comic books, Harry Osborn being the second Green Goblin, because they built up him as a nice, humble character, and then when he fell from grace, you felt sorry for him. But they don't do that in here. They make him a fucking asshole throughout the whole movie. That was annoying as shit. And then, my favorite part in the movie, which if you know how much I hate this movie, you mean the worst fucking part in the movie. That's what I mean. And again, spoilers. There's a spoiler tag up in the title, but they do the death of Gwen Stacy. The night Gwen Stacy died, at least an abridged version, again with Harry being the Green Goblin instead of Norman Osborn, and all that other bullshit. Again, The only reason why it's in this movie is because they have no story. To compensate for that, they put in big moments from the comic books. That's the only reason why this is here in the movie. I mean, she dies in a similar fashion. I think the only thing that they change about it is, again, Norman Osborn not being the Green Goblin. But she still dies at the hands of Green Goblin, or technically Spider-Man, whatever. And the location. In the comic books, it was the Queensboro Bridge slash the Queensboro Bridge slash the George Washington Bridge slash who gives a shit. They fucked up in the comic books. Who gives a shit, okay? They have her die exactly the same way, and even in the same clothing that she died in the movie. Which, if you were surprised, like genuinely shocked that Gwen Stacy died in this movie, you're a fucking idiot. Especially if you're a Spider-Man fan. They had her show up on set in the exact same garb, the exact same costume from the comic books in which she died in, okay? Be a little bit more smarter, please. But they have her die in the exact same way. Spider-Man, Green Goblin drops her while she falls. Spider-Man webs her, and she dies of the whiplash effect that, of how, she died, she got stopped so suddenly that her neck snapped or whatever. Again, it does not need to be in this movie. I mean, it's a sad moment. It's genuinely sad. Like, you feel genuinely sad for the character dying. Because Emma Stone played a great Gwen Stacy. This is the definitive Gwen Stacy outside of the comic books. Okay? She did a fine job. So when she actually does die, you feel genuinely sorry for her. But then the more you start to think, you start thinking to yourselves, especially if you're a comic book fan, why did she need to die? It's just so shoehorned into the movie. She fucking dies, and she gets captured by the Green Goblin and dies seconds after they fucking stop and fight Electro. They stop and fight Electro, Gwen Stacy and Spider-Man, and the Goblin just shows the fuck up out of nowhere, and they don't even have, Sam and Spider-Man don't even have a solid fight. They have, literally, Iron Man 2, have a 1-minute fight scene. That's it. That's it. It fucking dies, and she dies, and why it's there, don't know. The movie sucks. 4 out of 10. There you go. It sucks. Okay, and they have they finally bring closure to the whole the untold bullshit parent story from the first movie, and there's really nothing. You don't learn anything other than Oscorp's bad, which we already can assume. The movie's just bad. It's 4 out of 10. In fact, the money, you would have a much better time sitting at home doing nothing, looking at your wall. At least the wall was consistent. The money that the money that you would put towards this movie, your $10, $50, $13, $15, $20 for all that IMAX 3D bullshit, put it towards this, because this deserves so much more attention than this movie. I didn't even know about this. I found this walking through a Best Buy, and it just was there. This is the complete Spectacular Spider-Man series. This deserves so much more attention, so much more of your time and money than this movie does. This was made to coincide with the release of this movie, but fuck this movie. Just forget about it. Doesn't need to be here. Just watch this. Just buy this and watch it. It's like 25 bucks. It's completely worth it. Just buy this. In a couple half-hour episodes, they make a better Spider-Man story than this fucking movie could. 2.5 hours. And you know what? That's another thing about this movie. It's 2.5 hours and has no reason being so, okay? If it's gonna be a 2.5 hour fucking movie, have it make sense, have a story that actually, makes sense to be 2.5 hours. I have no fucking idea. Just don't see the movie. And just to prove how much of an advertisement this movie is, they have a fucking advertisement at the end of the credits for a movie that's not even by the same studio. The X-Men Days of Future Past clip. Just don't fucking see the movie. It's right here. This is what you need. Not this movie. So, that's all you need. This movie, not this. 4 out of 10. Don't fucking see it. It's bad. It's bad. And I'll probably have some videos out this week. Hopefully. If my videos, making new videos will keep it from seeing this movie, then I will make as many videos. Just don't see this movie. Just buy this instead. This is so much more. Let me stop this.